3 minutes left in Indiana's WNBA opener. Odyssey Sims pulled up from the wing and buried Indiana. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, fourth quarter, Fever down 2, Caitlin Clark watching from the floor. Sims wasn't supposed to wear a Dallas Wings jersey. She belonged on Indiana's bench. The woman who decided otherwise, Kelly Krauskopf, built the rotation that ran out of legs in the final minute. Wednesday in Los Angeles is the bill. Indiana lost 107-104. A three-point game decided in the final 90 seconds by the kind of veteran shot-making Krauskopf cut from the roster. Kelsey Mitchell led Indiana with 30, her highest opening night total ever. Aliyah Boston came back from her unrivaled injury and dropped 23 on the kind of efficient interior scoring she's built her career on. Caitlin Clark put up 20 with 7 assists, and she crossed a line nobody saw coming. 1,000 career points. 54th game of her WNBA life, tied Tamika Catchings, fastest point guard to the milestone in league history. 3 superstars, 1 historic milestone, 1 loss. Mitchell took the final shot, a 3 at the top of the key, a shot she's hit 1,000 times in her career. It rimmed out. Clark got the rebound, kicked it back to Mitchell for one more look. That one rimmed out too. The buzzer sounded. The Wings celebrated on Indiana's home floor. And here's the part people miss. Both of those final misses came from the 2 players who had played the entire second half without a single minute of rest. Because Indiana's bench, the bench Krauskopf built, couldn't be trusted to hold the lead for 90 seconds. Caitlin Clark is the engine. Everyone knows that. But this team needed someone who could take the ball out of her hands when the defense locked in. Someone who could create her own shot in the final minute. Someone Clark could trust to handle the pressure when the help side rotation collapsed. That's what Odyssey Sims used to do. The veteran guard knew the Fever system. She knew where Boston wanted her cuts. She knew how Mitchell read the pick and roll. She was the player coach Stephanie White could put on the floor in a tie game with 30 seconds left and trust to make a play. And then, over the winter between the FIBA cycle and training camp, Indiana let her walk. The decision was Kelly Krauskopf's. Kelly Krauskopf isn't a first-year executive learning the league on the job. She's been in the Indiana front office longer than most active WNBA executives have been in their entire careers. Her first ever player transaction, December 15, 1999, was the trade that brought Stephanie White to Indianapolis. She's been part of the Fever's biggest decisions for a quarter century, and she returned to the front office 2 seasons ago as the right hand to Herb Simon. The reporting at the time the Sims decision was made framed it as a cap move. With Kelsey Mitchell's $1980,000 Supermax, the first ever signed under the new collective bargaining agreement, and Aliyah Boston's $6.3 million extension, the largest contract in WNBA history, and Sophie Cunningham's $665,000 re-up, Indiana had committed roughly 60% of its cap to 3 players. Stephanie White said the quiet part out loud in her opening week press conferences, 60% of the cap to 3 players. That was the math. Something had to give. What gave was the veteran guard who knew how to close games. Kelly Krauskopf signed Ty Harris instead. Harris is a veteran journeywoman, a rotation guard. The reporting on the signing called her rookie-scale value for a veteran skill set, the kind of phrase front offices use when they're trying to convince themselves they made the right call. Saturday night against Dallas, Harris barely got off the bench. Single-digit minutes, a handful of shots, the box score line of a depth chart filler, not a closer. Sims played meaningful Wings minutes. She scored 20. She hit the kind of shots Indiana needed somebody, anybody, on their bench to hit back. And here's the math that should bother every Fever fan watching the calendar tick toward Wednesday. The Wings paid for the experience Indiana let walk. Indiana paid for the youth they thought would grow into the role. One of those rosters was on the floor in the final minute of a 3-point game. The other one was watching from the bench. Dallas Wings GM Curt Miller didn't just sign Odyssey Sims. He built a roster designed to beat Indiana specifically. The Wings reunited the UConn 2025 National Championship backcourt. Paige Buchers in year 2, Ozzie Fudd as the #1 overall pick, and surrounded them with veterans Krauskopf could have had if she'd moved faster. Alana Smith in the post, Jessica Shepard in the post, Arike Ogunbowale stayed in Dallas on a new deal. While Indiana protected 6 players from the expansion draft and bet on internal development, Miller spent the winter assembling the team that just hung 107 points in their season opener. The Wings finished 10-30 last year. They added 2 #1 picks, 2 veteran posts, kept their leading scorer, and signed the veteran guard Indiana didn't want. 10 months later, they walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse and won. This is what a competitive roster construction looks like when ownership lets the basketball people make basketball decisions. Krauskopf, who knows that better than anyone, chose the other path. The Indiana Fever play the Los Angeles Sparks at the Crypto.com Arena on Wednesday night, 4 days after the loss to Dallas. Tip is at 10:30 Eastern. Caitlin Clark will run out of the tunnel. Kelsey Mitchell will run out behind her. Aliyah Boston will be on the floor. And somewhere on the Indiana bench, in the seat that should belong to a veteran guard who can close a game, will be Ty Harris. That's the rotation Krauskopf built. That's the bench Stephanie White inherited. And that's the math Clark and Mitchell have to solve every time the score tightens and the clock starts moving in the wrong direction. The Sparks aren't the Wings. They don't have Bukers. They don't have Fudd. But the question Indiana has to answer is the same one they failed to answer on Saturday. Who closes the game when Clark needs help? Here's the part that should worry every Fever fan watching the calendar tick toward 2027. Caitlin Clark becomes Supermax eligible next offseason. Aliyah Boston is already signed through 2029 on the largest contract in WNBA history. Kelsey Mitchell's one-year Supermax expires this winter. Sophie Cunningham hits free agency. Krauskopf isn't going to have less to manage. She's going to have more. And the decision pattern that just cost Indiana its season opener, cut the veteran, sign the cheaper unknown, hope the bench grows into the role, is the same decision pattern that's going to be running on overdrive when Clark's number comes up. The 2026 cap is a hard cap. The 2027 cap is harder. Every dollar Krauskopf spends in the next 18 months on a player who can't close a game is a dollar that won't be available when Caitlin Clark walks into her Supermax meeting and asks the front office to prove it can build around her. The Sims decision was the warning shot. 2027 is the test. Saturday night at Gainbridge, 3 minutes into the fourth quarter, Odyssey Sims pulled up from the wing and buried Indiana. That's the receipt. Kelly Krauskopf isn't going to lose her job over this. She isn't going to be fired by Herb Simon. The front office has already moved on to the Wednesday game in Los Angeles. But for a moment, in the final minute of the loss, when Mitchell was looking for her legs on a shot she's hit 1,000 times, when Clark was watching from the wing for the help that wasn't coming, every Fever fan in the building knew what they were watching. A decision made 8 months ago, showing up on the scoreboard at exactly the wrong moment. And on Wednesday in Los Angeles, that same decision is going to show up again.